Welcome to Forum 360, a program with a global outlook and a local view. I'm Ardith Keck, your host today, and I'm looking at everywhere you go, there are leaders, and they are vital to any community. About Akron develops leaders, and we are talking today with Barry Dunaway, who is the president of Leadership Akron. We're going to find out how long the organization has been here developing leaders, and how do they go about developing leaders. Barry, welcome.
Thank you, Ardith. Great to be here.
When did Leadership Akron start developing leaders?
Well, Leadership Akron actually has its beginnings in 1984 when it was formed as an organization. So we've been around for 36 years in the Akron community.
Okay, and I bet there are people out there who say, Leadership Akron, what is that? What does Leadership Akron do?
Well, Leadership Akron really is about developing a broader pipeline of leaders to move the Akron community forward. What we try to do is develop groups of leaders and participants in our programs, immerse them in the community, help them to understand the opportunities, the issues facing our community, how the community needs to work together to really forward Akron and make it an even greater place to live and work.
You have what you call your signature program.
That's right.
And that is a program that goes about developing leaders. How?
Yeah, our signature program is really where the program started with Leadership Akron. And we call it our signature program because it really was the foundation of Leadership Akron. We bring together about 40 participants in that program, and it's an academic year-long program where we spend one full day a month with that group of leaders. And each month we will focus on a unique topic in our community. That topic can be healthcare. And for instance, we may look at the social determinants of health and what determines the health outcome of our residents. And so we'll have an immersive experiential day. We'll expose them to leaders in the healthcare community. It could be anyone from CEOs of our various hospitals, the leader of the Summit County Health Department, individuals who are involved in the nonprofit sector, and then how that's connected with social services, the education system, and really help people understand the total workings of, for instance, this day around healthcare. And at the end of the program, as we expose these leaders to these various aspects of our community: education, social services, parks and environment. Hopefully at the end of the year, they find an area that inspires them, where they feel that they can personally get even more involved in the community, and then at the end of the program, they find a way where they can become even more engaged in our community to make a difference and move things forward. So that's how we do that. We also know that the leaders learn from each other in the program. So we have these 40 individuals who are already leaders in our community. We develop this group of leaders, and when our board selects the participants, we try to create as diverse of a group of participants as we can across sectors in the community, ages, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, as much diversity as we can create within that group, because we know there's tremendous learning that takes place just even within that group. So those are the two ways we really try to help broaden the leadership capabilities of our participants.
And I've talked to some people who have done Leadership Akron, and they talk about their group and
Yes.
the people in their group, so they really get to know each other.
They really do. Probably one of the most famous taglines is the best class ever. So the relationships that develop during through these classes is just incredible. And that's also something that's very important to us, is that we allow relationships to foster and develop, because people spend a lot of time with each other. And to your point, many people who have been through the program develop lifetime friendships with those individuals who they go through the program with. There's a lot of self-discovery that takes place through these days. People discover things about themselves. They discover things about the community, and often they share those discoveries with their fellow participants, and that really does create just a really unique bond, and is another added benefit of the leadership program.
And how does one become a part of this signature program?
Well, we take applications each year. So this year, for instance, we will open up our application process at the beginning of March. We ask everyone to complete an online application to the program. And then after that, we will have all of our board members interview in person all of the applicants. Interestingly, we get about 3 times the number of applications for the program as we're able to accept, so it is a very competitive process. But it's through that written application process and then the personal interview with our board members, and then our board comes together and we try to select the most qualified candidates and applicants for the program, and as I mentioned, making sure that we create as diverse of a group of participants as well. Mm-hmm. So it's quite a process. Our board is very involved and they really drive the final selection process.
And do people pay to do this?
They do. There is a tuition cost for the program. It's currently $3,750. So we ask all of our participants to pay that. That doesn't fully cover the cost of the program. Many of our students who go through the program are supported by their organization. Well, we also have tuition scholarships that we can offer to students if they're not able to fully pay for their tuition.
Do companies sometimes help an individual or send an individual?
Yes, often they do. A number of organizations and companies in the area feel that this program is so valuable as far as developing their employees both professionally and personally, but also help those companies to have a greater involvement and impact in the community. We know that within the Akron area, many companies and organizations are very civically minded and want to support the greater Akron area. So many of those companies will choose one candidate within their company to put forward as their applicant, and then as part of that they often would pay their tuition.
I understand Leadership Akron has a program called Diversity on Board. Can you provide me some background on that program?
Sure, I'd be happy
Participants
to.
and the objective of it?
Absolutely. Diversity on Board is in its fourth year with Leadership Akron, and the concept behind that program was to build a pipeline of minority leaders within our community for board representation and board placement on nonprofit and public boards, with the belief that our nonprofit organizations can't effectively serve the community unless their board reflects the community. So the focus is on training these individuals who are minority members of our community to be really effective board members. And so we train them on things like financial acumen, board governance, strategic planning, advocacy and relationship building, so that by the time they leave that program at the end of the program year, they're ready to be seated on a board and can hit the ground running and really be effective board members.
So that's the kind of community involvement that you promote even with the signature program.
Absolutely. We're all about getting involved and engaged in the community and making a difference. That's what we want our graduates to do. We don't want people just to become more informed and educated. That's certainly part of it. But the ultimate goal and objective is, now that you have this greater awareness of the community, you have additional skills, you've hopefully been inspired, you've learned from other leaders, how do you take that and now how do you make a difference? Many of those individuals are already very engaged in the community, but we want to take that to a higher level and a greater level of effectiveness.
We all know that baby boomers are retiring in record number, and that many of them are interested in staying active and engaged after their career. I understand you have a program designed specifically to include this group of experienced individuals. Tell us about the next program.
Sure.
And the impact it's having on the community.
Be happy to. Yeah, we're excited about our next program. It was really born out of the idea that, as you said, many individuals have tremendous experience, they have time on their hands, often they have financial resources, And we've all heard someone say, when I retire, I want to get involved in the community, or I want to volunteer. But often individuals don't really know what those opportunities look like, or really how to get engaged. Many of the individuals who have been through the program have had very busy careers. They've traveled, perhaps they've lived here, but they've worked in other parts of our region, and they really just haven't had the opportunity to get engaged in the community. So the next program is modeled off of our signature program, where again, each session would focus on a unique aspect of the community, but we do it in a very condensed way. So we start the program right after Labor Day. We end the program by Thanksgiving. We know a lot of the participants like to travel. They like to leave during the wintertime and escape to somewhere where it's warm. So we tailor the program where we meet about every other week between September and November, and we expose them to the same areas of the community. They make friends, they build relationships, and then many of those individuals then move on to find their place in the community. One example would be our next class from last year really had a passion for early childhood education. So they have continued well past when the class was completed, and they've continued to get together as a group and work on ways that they can continue to focus and support early childhood education. So that's just one example where we inspire and kind of light that fire and help people see those opportunities, and then just turn them loose to make the differences that they'd like to make.
You certainly have groups within the community all over the place.
We do.
We'll talk about some of those others, but I want to reintroduce you, Barry Dunaway, who is president of Leadership Akron, and we're talking today about leaders and how you develop leaders. Welcome to Forum 360. You do have a program, Junior Leadership. Tell us about that.
We do. Junior Leadership Akron is almost as old as our signature program. I think we're in our 33rd year of offering that program. And I often say it's one of our best kept secrets, where every year we provide an opportunity for 2 students from every school in Summit County, whether that's public, private, parochial schools. And we ask each of those schools to send 2 individuals to participate in our Junior Leadership Akron program. It's a great opportunity for these young people first to meet kids that they'd never meet from all over Summit County. So again, back to relationship building and friendships that are fostered through that. Through exposure to various aspects of the community, these kids are understanding career opportunities. They're also understanding what it takes to create a healthy community. Hopefully we're planting that seed with them that the greater Akron community is an amazing place to work and live. So if they're deciding to go away to college perhaps, we want to encourage them to come back here to make a difference in the community, and also just see where they can make a difference. We really try to help the kids also understand the concept of legacy, that you don't have to be a certain age really to start creating your own personal legacy and the difference that you want to make in the community. So we expose them to leaders who have decided to make differences, and just continue to ask them, what can you do to make a difference? And don't underestimate the impact that can have on others. So it's a great program.
Exciting program.
It really is.
Does it cost for that?
It does cost. There's a small cost to it. It's, I believe it's $150 per student, but we're fortunate that the J.M. Smucker Company is the primary sponsor of that program, and Smuckers underwrites the majority of the costs associated with that program. So we're very grateful to Smuckers for that support.
I'll say. And it certainly costs more than that.
It certainly
does. To do the program.
It does.
You have another exciting program called with the Torchbearers.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, Torchbearers is really not a program, but it's an affiliation. So as we think about the impact that our graduates have, that Torchbearers was actually started by Scott Reed. So Scott went through the Leadership Akron program, and he saw a gap in offerings for younger and emerging leaders within the community, usually past that post-college time when individuals are early in their careers. So Scott started the Torchbearers program that is about leadership development, community involvement, community engagement for that young professional group. Leadership Akron has an affiliation with Torchbearers where we support them, we collaborate with them. The president of their organization sits on our board, and it's a great opportunity for them to understand how boards operate, to think about strategic planning. So it's really another way to help develop those young professionals.
So the members of Torchbearers can do the Leadership Akron program or a type of program?
They have their own program that's designed for where they are in their career stage. So they can apply for our signature program at a later date, but they're not automatically in the Leadership Akron program. We partner with them, we support them, we provide some financial support to them, but it would be at another point in time after going through the Torchbearers that they may consider applying for our signature program or one of our other programs.
I bet all this keeps you busy.
It sure does, yeah, but it's fun. I love it. I'm surrounded by a great team of people. We have 7 people on the staff at Leadership Akron, so I work with a really great group of people, and we have an outstanding board, very engaged in furthering Leadership Akron. And just to be surrounded by people who want to move our community forward in a really positive way, it's a wonderful job, and I'm privileged to be part of it.
Good. What is continuum of leadership?
The continuum of leadership is really just looking at I think it's related to the conversation we just had when we think about juniors in high school and where they are in making decisions and thinking about life choices that they want to make and where they want to engage in the community, what they're going to do professionally. Then we think about the Torchbearers and where they are in their life stage and career development. Many of them may be starting families and young families, and that limits someone's ability to get involved. But it's still part of that development. We talked about our signature program, which is usually mid-career professionals, so those individuals who are well into their career, have demonstrated leadership capabilities, have gotten involved in the community, and then next. So really that is that continuum of both life stage, career stage, and where individuals feel they can give back to the community.
Another program. In 2008, you or Leadership Akron created Insight Akron.
Yes.
What's that?
Insight Akron is a one-day program designed for new leaders or leaders who are new to the Akron area, or leaders who may have lived here at one point, moved away, and are returning to the area. And so we call it a one-day crash course in Akron, where we know many of those leaders, very senior individuals in their organization, and they may not have time to go through our entire signature program. But in one day, we can immerse them in the history of Akron, help them understand the inner workings of the community. We'll expose them to major decision makers and leaders in the community, and also expose them to each other. So often, someone may be new leading one of the educational institutions in our community and another senior leader in a major corporation. Just by bringing them together, their shared experiences, we would open that opportunity up to their spouses, because often trailing spouses who might be relocated here are also looking for opportunities to plug into the community, understand how the community works. So it's a really unique day. So in one day, we give those participants just an incredible overview of our community in a really efficient way.
Wow, I can imagine how their brains are floating by the time they're finished.
Yes.
Do you go out and visit places in that one day?
We do. Something that's really important to us is to make all of our program days experiential. We don't want to just put people in a room somewhere. So we'll start somewhere in the community. We may have Dave Liebreth talk about the history of Akron, and we'll try to do that somewhere that's very relevant to what Dave is going to be presenting. We'll then move on, and we may go to one of the major art institutions in the community. We would go to the convention center, the Akron Summit County Convention and Visitors Bureau, and be there and talk about the collaboration that takes place in bringing people to Akron. So it's a very interactive day, and as part of it, we want to make sure we get those individuals out into the community to discover some of the assets that we have in Akron.
In 2011, you created the Community Leadership Institute.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So Community Leadership Institutes are partnerships with some of the major employers in the area. Right now we have 4 of those with Bridgestone, Goodyear, Cleveland Clinic, Akron General, and SUMA. So those major employers in the area are very, very much dedicated to the community and making a difference. They want their employees to be engaged in the community as well. So what we do is we partner with those organizations to develop a customized curriculum that meets the objectives of their organization, but also focuses on community engagement. So those organizations culturally may be focusing on certain competencies, or there are certain attributes that they want to reinforce with their employees. And an example might be collaboration. They want to foster a more collaborative work environment. So we'll take that concept and then we'll demonstrate to them how collaboration takes place in a community setting. So they get the benefit of both understanding how it could work more effectively in their own organization and how it works in the community. And then through that, there are relationships that are strengthened. These are very large employers. Many of those participants may never have even met each other, so it helps foster relationships within that organization. But then we also help those employees to see where they can plug into the community and make a difference. And often those employers that I just mentioned have strategic partnerships already in the community. So we try to make sure they're part of our program day so that those employees can see, oh, this would be an area where I would like to engage, how I could give some time, how I could support that effort. So that's the history of the Community Leadership Institutes.
Well, we should talk about one more. In 2014, you created the EDGE program.
Yes, yes. EDGE is for interns, and back to that continuum of leadership development. A lot of interns show up in the greater Akron area for summer work experiences. And we know that attracting and retaining talent in our community is really important. And these are bright, motivated individuals who are just on the beginning of their careers. So what we try to do through the program is expose them to the broader community, again, expose them to each other so that relationships can be built, help them understand, again, where there are opportunities for young professionals to plug into our community. For a lot of young people, community service and community engagement is very important. And they want to know that the companies they're coming to work for support the community. So through a very short summer program, we can bring those individuals together. We'll do some professional development, but then really get them into the community to help them understand the greater Akron area and why they should consider, if they're offered a job after their internship, why they really should consider Akron.
Is Leadership Akron part of a national program, or is it simply local?
It is local. We're an independent nonprofit, a 501c3. So we have our own board of directors. Financially, we are independent. But there are programs like Leadership Akron all over the country. And so most communities would have some form. Matter of fact, the community we're in, Hudson, has Leadership Hudson. And so there are opportunities. There's a national organization that we belong to that brings together all these various leadership programs across the United States. And so we're able to attend seminars and have resources available through that network to help us think about best practices, so we can look at other programs that are offered through other leadership institutes like ours. We've had the opportunity, for instance, to share our Diversity on Board program at a national conference to help other communities to understand, here's an opportunity, here's our model, maybe you can apply that to your community. When the next program was started, we looked across many programs and couldn't find a similar model. So we started our own and have grown it since then, and we would share it with other leadership institutes as well to say, here's something you might want to consider. And
has it spread?
I'm not aware of the next program spreading at this point in time, but we would certainly encourage others to look and continue to promote that
It's
opportunity.
a valuable program,
It
I
really
would think.
is.
Suppose someone's listening or watching our program today and they want to apply. What do they do?
Go to leadershipakron.org. So would encourage anyone to go to our website. On our website, we have more information about all of our programs. We have application forms that are on there. As I mentioned earlier, we would open up our applications the 1st of March is when we'll begin accepting applications for our signature program, for Diversity on Board, and for Next. We will also be having some informational seminars where you can just come and learn more about the program. There's no commitment at all. You can hear from current participants. You can meet some of our board members. Our staff will be there. And again, it's just an informal way to determine, is this something that I'd like to commit to?
Barry, Leadership Akron has a ton of programs. Many thanks for helping us understand and understand what the organization does operating in Akron and Summit County. Congratulations for all you do, and we wish you continued success. Thank you also to our audience. We appreciate you as well. This is Ardith Keck for Forum 360.
Forum 360 is brought to you by John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the Akron Community Foundation, Hudson Community Television, the Rubber City Radio Group, Shaw Jewish Community Center of Akron, Blue Green, Electric Impulse Communications, and Forum 360 supporters.